dang hang God danyo. Oh, what that dang. Well, this is the Black Pot, aka Kuku Show, the where we speak truth to power. Now here we normally would not criticize, but if we must criticize, we'd only just criticize to build and not to destroy. We are in the service of God and country, and today we have a number of things to look at from the newsreel where we keep it real. Now the very first story I'm looking at today is coming all the way from 3 News, the most authentic source of news online, and it says our health issues are now public because of debt exchange. Pension bond holders. I read it. Pensioners in Ghana have been picketing at the Ministry of Finance in protest against the inclusion of their pension funds in the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, DDEP, which the government of Ghana is seeking to carry through with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Now, in an interview with Johnny Hughes on 3FM Sunrise Morning Show, Madame Kokui Ajo Edu, one of the pension bondholders, expressed their displeasure over how some of the pensioners, out of frustration and the quest to protect their pension bonds, have been compelled to disclose their private medical issues to the public. Now listen, man. It is so shameful at where we have decided to place ourselves in this time of our lives as a country. Old men and women who have paid their dues, worked very hard, stayed in this country when every other person was running out of this country the other day, stayed in this country to contribute their quota, stayed patriotic, living in a country that has no or very little health insurance. Stayed at the time politicians were running out of this country, going to America, England, Japan, and even China for health care. When they, the same politicians, are so responsible for the breakdown of the health system in this country. The best we can give to them is to threaten to give them unprofessional haircuts. As the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Sophia Akufu, said, why do you want to give us haircuts on this head that has very little hair left? My brother, my sister, anytime I look at this, it brings tears into my eyes. The least we could do to our aged people is a handshake and a bouquet of flowers to say thank you. Our ancestors fought for us through the blood and toil that we all saw. My brother, my sister, anybody who has no respect for the heroes is not worth to be called a human being. Now the aged, at a time when they should be sitting home and be telling Nancy stories to their little great-grandchildren and grandchildren, they are busily picketing, demonstrating, begging for their own money that they worked for. In fact, if NAM1 was a fraudster, then this government is NAM 1000. My brother, my sister, NAM1 started his business. Almost all the banks in Ghana went bankrupt. Everybody was running to NAM1, buying gold pieces that later got invested so that NAM1 became the talk of town. The young man was all over the place, flaunting his feathers like those of a peacock. But this government greedily came down on NAM1, vilified him, and turned the whole of Ghana against this man. They ended up causing panic withdrawals, and NAM1 went bankrupt in no time. NAM1 found himself in Dubai. Little did he know that it was a trap. He was locked up like a common criminal. Later, they shipped him back to Ghana and threw him inside cells that were only fit for pigs. He stayed in the cells, got his health aggravated. And Namwan today, my brother, my sister, is out of business. What happened to Namwan's aeroplane? What happened to Namwan's accounts that were frozen? Have they been able to sell the aeroplane to pay some people off? How about his money that has been frozen? All the cars that were seized, because we are a nation with no common sense, the cars were seized by the national security. They were left there until every one of them got rotten, because we are a country of no common sense. What happened to Namwan's frozen account? What happened to his private jet? Is the private jet also sitting on the tarmac at the Accra airport getting rotten? We are a country that will go out and seize marijuana worth millions of American dollars. And policemen will set it on fire, stand by and clap and say that, yes, they are fighting criminals. Yet the biggest criminals are those who steal and rob and kill by the streak of the pen. No wonder they say the pen is mightier than the gun. Former Chief Justice, she said she was gagged at the time that she was Chief Justice. Now she's ungagged and she has become unscripted. She's out there speaking a mind and bringing the whole Ghana to the understanding that this is a criminal, demonic government that has no respect for its citizens. How many members of this dirty political party all of a sudden have turned their backs on the demonic president whose only demonic mind is to build a demonic cathedral using the taxpayers' money? Today, as it stands, our aged people are crying. They wanted to go to bed, sleep quietly, die quietly, and go away and be forgotten by a demonic country like this one. But today they are forced to go out there, picket, make a lot of noise, something that is the reserve of young men and women. And they have to give reasons why they need their money. And by so doing, they have to tell what underlying sicknesses and diseases and health conditions they have. Posterity will judge us as a nation. We are a nation of criminal-minded people. We are a nation of wicked people. We are a nation of nonchalant people. We are a nation of snakes and vipers, cockroaches and lizards. Posterity would judge us so harshly. I leave it here. Next thing I want to look at. It's taken from Peace FM Online, and it says the average Ghanaian is extremely corrupt. I paid to get elected. This is Sam George talking. Now, Sam George is a friend of this media house. He's a friend of so many other media houses. So I'm going to treat this issue with kids' gloves. Hear me. The average Ghanaian is extremely corrupt. I paid to get elected. Sam George. I read. Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Sam Nate George says he is not a saint when it comes to corruption. Now, the outspoken lawmaker in an interview on Joy TV's personality profile was emphatic that he paid his way through to be elected. To him, the average Ghanaian citizen is corrupt. Hence, the struggle to fight the canker. Politicians are corrupt because of the people that we lead. The average Ghanaian is extremely corrupt and has lost his moral fiber. Politicians are a reflection of the people. He said, I paid to get elected. How did you think I got elected? I wouldn't sit here and say I didn't pay. They paid more than I did, but I also paid. It depends on who. Monkeys play by sizes.
Maria waleta matam sanga. Yabo! Yabo!
Hear me now. My brother, my sister, I like the honesty in this. This is a man who is bold enough to say, I paid bribes to people to vote me into power. Yes, I paid. If this was a serious country, we should have a way of making Sam George relinquish his position as an MP. Let's speak truth to power. The man said he paid bribes in order to be elected. Now the people who elected him are nothing but bribe givers. The bribe giver is equally culpable as the bribe taker. Now, my brother, my sister, those who elected Sam George into office are nothing but bribe takers. Sam George said he gave out bribes in order to get elected. He was bold enough to say this and honest enough to say some other people even paid more. Are you proud that you paid bribes to be able to sit where you are sitting? If I were you, I would resign. In fact, I would resign. I'm not going to moralize it on anybody. But hear me now. In a country where we have to pay bribes to have our own way, much as it is what it is, we should never ever be proud of that. I am waiting for the politician who would come out and say, listen, whilst other people paid bribes, I paid absolutely nothing, yet I lost or I won. If you lost, we will all clap for you and say, oh, wonderful human being. Yes, he lost because he was not ready to pay bribes. Of course, I listened to the tape. DJs are taking money. You can make the best music ever. These DJs will still ask you to pay payola. In fact, you could have the most newsy press conference if you don't give out solely to journalists. Only mushroom newspapers will publish a story. That is very true. But is this supposed to be the reason we all have to endorse corruption? One thing I like about what Sam George said is the fact that, yes, the nation is corrupt. Corruption is in our DNA. But to go ahead and endorse corruption, in fact, I am baffled. You are an MP. You represent the people. Now you said that you paid your way to become an MP. Some people paid more, but you paid less. Of course, you also paid. You gave bribes. Your constituency is a constituency of bribe takers. My brother, honestly, if I were you, I will resign. And once I resign, next time you come, we all will support you so that you don't pay any bribe and you can come in clean. My brother, my sister, Sam George is not the only one. There are people in higher positions who are paying bribes night and day. They will not say it. Presidents take bribe. That is why Africa is where it is. My message to Sam George, my very good friend Sam George, is very simple. Once you have been bold enough to say that you gave out bribes in order to rise to where you are as an MP, please be bold enough to say, because of the bribes I paid, I am resigning. And once I resign, I will bounce back again. This time round, on a bribeless campaign. See some of us join you in that campaign. See 1 million of us join you. I will be your campaign manager. Because you are ready to fight a battle that is not based on bribery. In fact, you would have set a huge record for yourself as a young politician, and at the same time, you would make a huge mark, and other politicians would follow. But if you continue staying there as an MP, I honestly don't know how some of us and well-meaning Ghanaians, discerning Ghanaians will look at you from now. Next thing I want to look at, and I want to take it very quickly, says Ochihini calls for rethink of Ghana's economic development. Ochihini calls for rethink of Ghana's economic development. And I read it. Ochihini Osajifu Amwetia Oforipenyin says Ghana's economic woes may linger forever if managers of the country do not depart from exporting raw materials and become a production hub and contributor of refined products on the world market. He says, like many other African countries, Ghana is confronted with a huge balance of payment deficit occasioned by the country's failure to boost local production. This is the king of Achim. He's here, in fact, and he's speaking. What he has said makes a lot of sense. Yes, it does. But how many people are going to listen to his sense? Having dirtied himself all this while, becoming the king of Galamsey, one of the most disrespected chiefs of our time. How many people are going to listen to Ochihini? But what Ochihini is saying is nothing but the truth. In fact, we are a nothing but a Goggisberg economy from hand to mouth. All the raw materials we produce, the West buys them long before they are even produced. They don't give us the option of turning that into finished products. We are only a nation that produces raw materials for the West industries. We produce ingredients for the kitchen of the white man. And when the white man makes the food, he sells it back to us for an arm and a leg. It's most unfortunate. My brother, my sister, what is happening in our country? All the wonderful factories that Kwame Nkrumah built, we have neglected all of them, including one in his hometown, the coconut oil factory, closed down long ago. Now it is the hub of cockroaches, lizards, and snakes. Until we sit back as a people and turn our country around, industrialize it, we would only be tickling ourselves and laughing. My brother, my sister, it is most unfortunate. On this note, my very good friend, Eric Mawena Egbeta is in the house. Eric Mawena Egbeta is in the house. How are you doing, my brother? Everything good?
Blessed as always. Trust that all is well with you too.
I can